Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of The Art Will Not Be Changing. No, is it special in that 80s way where, every time, if you remember, if you're old like me, every time they said a very special episode, someone got killed or touched or had cancer, you always knew it wasn't going to be a fun night of comedy. And that's not true tonight, because tonight's going to be wild. We have got some great guests for you. It is a writer's circle of death. We will crown the coolest writer at the end. These are indie comic writers, people that are doing some absolutely wild stuff. But talking about writing, I have to shout out some people. This week, Grim Omen Magazine, which is a dark fantasy, sci-fi, horror, video games, film, fiction, and RPGs magazine, published my short story, She Summons Stars. And it is right here on page 28. Very excited about it. The issue is beautiful. It's got all kinds of cool stuff in it. If you're into gaming, Grim Omen, very cool magazine. And thank you guys for putting my work in there. As always, if you order anything from Fugitive Poems, including, and what a fool I am, I didn't put it next to me, Dirty Living, issue 1 is in print now. It sold like hotcakes. If anyone still sold hotcakes at Terrificon this weekend, which was awesome. And if I got to see you there, thank you. It was a pleasure. But we really did great with it. Dirty Living is on fugitivepoems.com. I mailed out a ton of them today. Actually, the orders are really coming in. We've also got River. We've got Blood Valkyrie in Vegas. And we've got the Containment Breach series. Tons of great comics. And as always, if you order during the show, you will get a Fugitive Poem sticker and a drawing, if it's during the show, done by me. Something you absolutely don't want, but I'm going to do it. But that's, we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. So let's jump into it. We've got, oh, wait a minute. Elijah said, God, I hope I'm not the one dying. Casey said, glad you're not dying. And Elijah is talking about cursing and drinking, which is my promise for this show. So let's bring them on. I'm going to introduce them one by one. We've got straight from the other side of the pond, as somebody says, Rufus Black, writer of Fugitive Poems' upcoming Dido and Local Boob. I like that. I do like my boobs local. We've got the man himself, Jay Schiek, artist, writer, and fine judge of soda water. So happy to have you with us, guy who draws and writes things. We have Elijah Joseph.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there.
I knew I had to wait for it. The creator and writer of Print Is Not Dead, Blade and Barter, and an upcoming one we'll be talking about. And then we also have the great Casey Allen. Casey Allen, does he know he's on? There he is. Welcome, Casey. Hey, okay. Tom Leinert says boobs, naturally. And Casey says, I don't hear Christian. Oh, okay.
Well, that's why he didn't know he was there.
I have no idea what Christian's saying. Yeah,
might have to sign out and back in. All right, I just said you might have to sign in and back. Well, why am I telling you? You can't hear me. So there we go. I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I guess I could have relayed that. I don't know why I should have just said something. Oh, they both went. All right, goodbye.
Wait, who else went? Rufus.
He was like, I'm done with this. I what did I sign up for?
This unprofessionalism is far below me. Well, below me.
What are you drinking tonight?
Very not exciting. I've got a Modelo. What do you
I
got?
have Elixir.
Oh,
I've got coffee brewed 5 hours ago.
Oh, nice and cold.
The cheap motel special,
as they call it. Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to pour it down the sink. So
I get
that. I can only imagine. I hope you reheated it, please. For the love of God.
Yeah. It gets where it's going quicker if it's cold.
That's true.
Your colon?
That's the place.
Really, I'm just using it as a diuretic. And so, Jay, let's ask, is that your first writing tip? Is it only be regular?
Regular with a coffee, yes. Yeah, I mean, as far as regularity in other areas, I mean, different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But
so Claudio is in the chat. Writers in a circle of death. How do writers kill each other? Do you use the letter A as a knife? Come on, start the death match.
I prefer to use the letter L as a gun.
I was promised it was a circle jerk of death, so I'm feeling horribly underprepared.
I'll go get a slice of bread.
Oh no, not again. A biscuit, more like. You need a biscuit.
I use the letter Z as a periscope so I can make sure nobody's coming to kill me and hide. So, Jay, let's start with you. You are, we got Casey. You are not only a writer, but also an artist. And am I right that you consider yourself first an artist and second a writer, or both? Or
yeah, I've had considerably more success as an artist than I have as a writer in terms of like publications. I spent a long time writing short stories and trying to get back in the old like Cemetery Dance. Trying to think of some of the other ones. Congrats on the Grim Omens story, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so psyched.
I still have. What was that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I still have all my old rejection letters from all those places back in the day, like 20 years ago. But yeah, comics. I don't know. People like my artwork better than they like my writing, I think. So.
Well, I love your writing, folks. He has a comic available from Band of Bards called Hush Ronin. You want to tell us what that's about?
Yeah, it's fantasy feudal Japanese samurai epic. Kind of blends in a lot of different things like Mesopotamian mythology, Arthurian mythology. A year ago I was working on issue 3. I'm still kind of doing that, but Band of Bards is also kind of in transition, and I'm working on getting the rights back so I can kind of do my own thing with it. But I have a follow-up that I'm working on to that one too.
What's that?
A new idea I had this summer called Moonlight Sayonara. And it's more at the very end of the samurai era and the Meiji restoration. And I have kind of a Dracula analog who is buying up silver mines in Japan and breeding kind of an army of silver immune werewolves. And then I have a female protagonist for that one.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
So I love Jay's writing, and I have been very lucky to get to read a number of the issues in advance.
And at least the second one.
No, 1 and 2,
yeah.
And it's so much fun. Jay is one of those people that takes it, like me actually, that takes a lot from history and mythology and weaves it into his fiction, which is something that I love. That's because writers write about death, but artists draw blood. See what I did there, Claudia? So. Let me jump over to Casey, because Casey, mythology and cryptids is sort of your bag as well. How much do you draw from, no pun intended, how much do you draw from real world mythology and mythos?
You're on mute.
With my books, with Bigfoot Knows Karate especially, there's some stuff that I absolutely like go down the down the rabbit trail looking stuff up, but also like I know that my main goal is to get a good story out. I don't want to. I want to use these myths and these creatures and stuff like that. I don't want to disrespect where they came from, but also we have a giant freaking Bigfoot that does karate. So I mean, there's only so much that you eventually you kind of you steer off from your research. As far as I'm aware, we're the only karate Bigfoot there is, and if there is another one, we totally kick his ass.
Yeah, I think Shakespeare actually had a karate Bigfoot. So
I heard of one doing like Taibo or something like that, but it was more for the cardio than anything else.
Yeah. Taibo Bigfoot. I mean, eventually, our Bigfoot's gonna retire and move to Ojai and have a yoga retreat. He will be yoga Bigfoot. But until then, he's a Bigfoot that knows karate.
Yet he does yoga.
The last book I did, which we still haven't completed, the Voodoo Child is a Vietnam War book with zombies, and I had a great time writing it. And I really kind of went down the rabbit hole, making sure that where they were at in the book matched up where, the actual live fighting was. And I wanted to also, I didn't want caricatures of Vietnamese people or caricatures of Vietnam soldiers. I tried to be really, really respectful. And, in that book, the bad guys aren't the Vietnamese. There's one bad guy, and he's the voodoo god of death, and he just wants a vacation, pretty much.
I was going to bring up Voodoo Child. It is one of my favorite things that you've done. I have both issues, and I'm glad to hear you phrasing it in the way that there will be more, because I was hoping. All right. Well, we'll all pray for it as well. Rufus, your comic is called Dido. So I kind of know the answer to the question. Casey brings up a really interesting point. How beholden are you to the mythos that you're playing with?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually, I've never thought about it before. But I don't throw anything mythological into my writing casually. I feel like I have to know it inside and out, because I'm going to have to build important plot points around it. So my book is essentially the themes, characters, and some of the events of the Aeneid transposed into a 40s noir setting. Now, I find that allows me a lot of wiggle room, because I kind of grew up with the Aeneid. I know it like the back of my hand, so I know what I can and can't do, and the rest is all wiggle room. It also allows you to purposefully do things differently than they happen in mythology, on the off chance someone is expecting it to go a certain way, and that's when you say, well, fuck you, he dies instead.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I'm getting to read your scripts as you write them, and I've taught the Aeneid and the Odyssey and the Iliad, so I love seeing what you put in there. But I think that's so important. When I first started writing, my OCD, I would try and get everything exactly as it happened and weaved, or as it was told, and weave my fiction into that. And the minute I stopped doing that, the stories got so much better. They were informed by this thing, but it's a playground, and I should be allowed to play too. So I agree with you completely. Elijah, how much from others, like other mythological or historical sources, do you utilize in your writing?
So I am a massive fan of Greek mythology. I'm actually just working through, every few years I read through all of the Greek myths and like the original ones, and not in Greek, because I can't read Greek, but I love taking the thematics and trying to reinvent them for the modern day, or to fit whatever narrative that I like to do. very much thinking a lot about Narcissus recently, and how the story, the original one, is not necessarily about like being obsessed with yourself, but it's treating those who you don't necessarily like with respect. Like he just like yells at a bunch of other people because he thinks they're ugly, and then has to face his reflection of who he is for the rest of eternity. And I think it's a I love it. Summed up.
And none of this started with your Oedipal complex.
No. I don't have an Oedipus complex. I have there's one Greek myth where a guy wishes he could like live forever, but he doesn't. He ages like he would, so he's like skin and bones. That's how I feel.
We got Sabina in the chat saying, "Not my OCD." Right now, we must keep the facts pure. She also talking about, this is my sister, so she said, "Yay, generic." I think you made genetic mental problems, and she said, "So is Narcissus." This is important. Where do you pull your ideas from? We talked about. So now my question is, where does your wild shit come from? The completely you. Do you know how it happens, where it happens? Casey, you're leaning in. You got this?
Really, like the weirder shit that I've written has it just comes to me in a flash, man. I read occasionally when I can. I take in whatever I can. I listen to audiobooks when I'm at work. I try to experience as much stuff as I can, but at the end of the day, like it just happens. Like there's no, it's like something beaming into my brain, and not all of it's good, not all, but when it happens and it's good, and it's good, or you feel like it's good, that is such a rush, especially when you send your script to somebody and they're like, "The fuck was that? That was great." That's always it's always a blast. So yeah, I don't know where inspiration comes from, but I appreciate it when it does. Otherwise, it's like pulling teeth, man.
Yeah. I've got a comic that I haven't made yet. Called, the script is done, called Giblets and Cocaine, and I sent it to Kenneth Fontana. I just said his name wrong. I know. He did my albino Satanists in Hell, in Heat, albino Satanists in Heat comic for Zona del Male. He's absolutely incredible, and one of the greatest compliments I have ever received. Exactly right.
Yes.
One of the greatest compliments I've ever received was, "I don't know what the hell I just read, but I love it." And it is a totally batshit idea. Kenneth Fontana, I did get his name right. Elijah, how do you have to spark shocking ideas? Or are you one of those people that just suddenly pop into your head?
I made a joke. It comes from my genetic mental problems, but I think it's true. I have ADHD, so I'm constantly thinking of things, and it's just the ones that it's more of a miracle when I can sit down and just focus on the one thing, which is a blessing and a curse. So it just kind of comes from all over. I'm constantly just thinking about things, and my favorite things kind of tend to come from the things that just either are like you don't really want to talk about them, or it's just like this like obsessive thought in your head that you're just like, if you don't write it down or you don't like deal with it, then it's like gonna forever be there. So definitely some mental health problems, but that's the best artists definitely have it. I'm not saying I'm the greatest, but
Sabina just said, "Christian, invite this guy for dinner." I would love it. Yeah, I told Elijah he was going to win the Cool Kid Award tonight. Tom said, "All right, guys, the gauntlet has been laid." Uh, so Rufus, do you? Because I'm hearing ADHD, and I know I have it. Do you? You're working so thoroughly right now on Dido. You're so many issues in. Rob Toll is drawing it. Is going to be magnificent, folks. One of the next comic, The Fugitive Poems, is producing. What do you do with all the other ideas that are constantly coming into your head, or are you somebody that does one thing at a time?
Oh no, they are currently in a 2-foot stack of paper over there that grows every day. I constantly have ideas, and I seem to think they're all good, but most of them are shit. You need time to look back, like put it away, come back to it a week later, and go, "What in God's name was I thinking? That's terrible." I have it particularly bad because I've always found there's nothing worse than a forgotten idea. You know, no matter how terrible it is, you always think, "What the hell was that?" I'm sure it was the best thing ever. It would have been my book for life, but I've completely forgotten what it is. So I write everything down, and I wake up at 3 a.m. and I have an idea, and I write it down. I go back to sleep, and I wake up the next day. I look at it and go, "What?" And it'll be like, "My skin is a squid, and I have to eat children." Or I'll, you know what that is? You can do something with that, but I seem to think at 3 a.m. is great. Usually, what I'll do is then I'll take a walk. I'll pick up a bunch of paper and I'll read through it. And I'll go, "Well, that kind of goes with that." And you could factor that in, and before you know it, you've got a scene, you've got a story, and you're going. I think the idea is the most important thing, because that's kind of why you become a writer in the first place. I need to get this out of my head or I'll die. You know, I will eat myself alive if I have all this just floating around doing nothing. The weirder shit tends to happen actually when I'm writing. And I've never understood that. I will sit down and I'll write, and I'll have a good idea of what I'm going to write. And then the sentences that come out of me are completely different. And that's where the strangest, most obscure parts of the story come out. It's when I'm deep into the flow and I just start throwing things into the mix. Like a mad chef.
Yeah.
I
have this. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it kind of verges off. So if you have something more on point, feel free to jump in with it. But I had a hot take. I feel like ideas are the least important part of the writing process. I feel like anybody can have an idea, but it is executing on that idea and really talking about what you want to say and showing people the perspective that you look at through life, even if it's the most bad shit crazy thing. It's like one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg jokes is like, go inside. He's bombing, right? He's trying to tell a joke, and he says, "Go inside of my head, come back out, and tell me it's not funny as fuck." And I'm like, that is the the best thing about like the modern struggle of being a writer is communicating your ideas so effectively they see your perspective and agree with it or disagree with it.
Yeah. I've always liked I've heard a couple of writers bring it up this way in terms of like just the idea factor and like how writers hate being asked where they get their ideas from, but that it's kind of this moment of confluence where two formerly unconnected ideas find some kind of a parallel with each other, and then they just kind of merge and form this like mutant idea baby in your mind. I mean, and then that sort of like becomes the genesis for it. I like that perspective though too, that the idea is the least important part about it. It's how you explore and ultimately execute on it.
I think it is because of my background as a comedian. Like people will always come up after a show, even after I've like crushed, and they're like, "That looks so easy," and they're like, "I have an idea for a joke," and I'm like, "One, it is easy after like so many reps, you know, of going through the hard shit. It becomes easy." But then I always say go up and tell the joke because it's not the idea, it's the execution of it. All right, I'm
absolutely yeah.
Absolutely. The idea is almost like the raw material of writing. You know, if you don't have a good line on it, if you're not the sort of person that just comes up with ideas, you're going to have a rough time. But if you have loads of ideas, that still doesn't make you a writer. It's a big slab of stone and you're a sculptor. Now, if you don't have any stone, you're not going to be a very good sculptor. So you do need it. But ultimately, how good a sculptor you are does not depend on it.
Yeah. Well, think of how many great movies, I can't speak, you've seen with an unbelievably original premise and they bomb. Right? So the guy who had that idea wasn't fit to carry it. It just couldn't pull it together. Sabina says, I tend to scream for a while and then go to bed when my brain has too many ideas. And yes, forgotten ideas are terrifying. To Rufus, she also said, that is genius. So
Rufus
I
is
asked
genius. Hold on. Wait, before you go, I have one thing to say about the thing that you just said of a guy comes up with a brilliant idea and it bombs. I think I feel like that is a bit unfair because I think great ideas cannot be commercially sound. Just my hot take there. That's how I say it. That's what I'm gonna say about all my failed books. It's like not all great ideas are commercially found, but I do think that's true. I think there's a market for certain ideas and not, and the market could come one day too. So
sure. There's it always drives me nuts. People, they see a movie, they read a book, they read a comic, and they're like, "You like, what'd you think?" And they're like, "It was weird." And I started hating the word weird, which is one of my favorite words because I love weird fiction and I love weird art. But that's their way of completely dismissing it as, yeah, cute that you tried that, but oh, why? And I agree. So is it commercially sound? Now, one of the reasons I asked this question, Rufus and you guys really hit on it, all you guys. I get an idea, and this is my next question for all of you. Do you outline? Do you know where you're going? Because I never do. And I know Casey, I'm going to you first because I love how you explain this. I'm in the middle of or toward the end of a short story right now. I had none of it where it went where I thought it was going to go, and I still have no idea how it's going to end. And when I try to outline, the whole fucking thing falls apart. We've got Dan Price. Dan Price. The other half of Bigfoot Does Karate in the audience. Hello, Dan. Casey, tell me your thoughts on this.
Okay, so my thoughts have changed. So initially, my process for writing, just keep with me here. You remember Pee-wee's Big Adventure, right? When he runs in, there's the pet store.
That's when he was at
fire.
The Peep Show, right?
The pet store that catches on fire, and he runs in, and he's got to save the puppies. He runs in, he saves the puppies. He sees the kittens, he runs in, he saves the kittens. He sees the snakes. His stomach curdles. His face crunches up. And then he runs out and he's like, oh, what the fuck do I do with all these snakes? He has snakes in his hands. He doesn't know what to do with them. That is my natural inclination for when I have an idea and I need to write. And just like recently, after, getting my ass kicked on some stuff, just trying my best to put the round pegs in square holes. I went to Dan while we were plotting out an issue, and because we'll discuss an issue like from stem to stern, and I was like, let's make a checklist. Let's do bullet points, and then after I hit up on what we need, I'll put a check mark by it, and it keeps me on task, and it keeps me from losing plot points, and it keeps me from going off on too much of a tangent. And I started that with issue 4, which is in production right now, of Bigfoot Knows Karate. And man, I had a freaking blast writing that way. It made all the difference in the world. Where in issue 3, for a little while, I felt like I was going insane because I knew what needed to happen. I knew what I didn't want to do. And like Dan co-writes with me. And so we're, through the process, we'll split stuff up sometimes and we'll go, I'll write this scene, you write this scene. Or, we'll say, I'll take a swing at it. And then, if you don't like it, you can, polish it up or do it your way. That's really that also is a good way that's helped me with sometimes you got to rip it up and start again, man. Like,
Kill your darlings.
no matter how good your intentions are, if it sucks when it's done, rip it up. If you're boring the shit out of yourself while you're reading through it, rip it up and start again. Nobody's going to get mad at you. Like, everybody wants to make a good comic, and if I'm going to sell it to people, I want to be able to stand behind it. So also, like, get you a Dan Price. Dan has been such a, like, just really helped me in, like, hey, get this shit done. Hey, you said you were gonna do this. Let's do it. And he's not mean about it or anything, but he keeps me on task. And right now, I mean, we have issue 4 and we got to do issue 5, and we have like 2 other projects in the process. So yeah, you like, bullet points help, but everything else is snakes in a burning building. What was the question again?
We got Claudio saying, so what everyone is saying is that in comics, writing and the art are tools used to manipulate the idea so it works in the comic. Plus, you need skill and abilities to mold that idea into a story. Thank you, Claudio. Yeah. By the way, folks, this is The Art Will Not Be Changing. It's fucking awesome every week. You should be here. Hit that little bell. There's a little bell to notify you so you don't forget. Every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, this show is going to be on. You're going to get awesome content like this. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, Fugitive Poems. Send me all your money. These are things that you want to do. Trust me. So, Casey, I love how you explain this. I'm so interested in the fact that it's changed. Jay, let me ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You are writing and drawing your own series.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you outline? Do you draw and see where the art goes? What do you do?
The only time I ever really outline is if there's something extremely complex in terms of like events happening, and I try not to be super plot based where I need to do that. But that's always been kind of a chicken or the egg question for me, is like, do I draw this first? Do I write it first? And what I was finding with Hush Ronin was I would produce script pages, so there'd be something to read, and a letterer would have something to go with, but they were very often just a written description of something I had already drawn. So I've kind of adapted my own simultaneous method. I work in a sketchbook, and I'll just do like a loose like page layout with the panels roughly the size and placement that I want them. And then I'll draw a little thumbnail of each panel and then any of the corresponding text that goes with. But when it really starts, I keep one of these guys. I get a cheap notebook and I make an idea file for the story or whatever it is, and then this just kind of becomes the catch-all. So it'll have bits of script in it. It may have drawings, but basically any ideas that I have about characters in the story, I just vomit it all into this, and then kind of peel back out of that later on.
Elijah, you know what? This is kind of a question for all of you. And folks, Stephen Beccia has joined us, the writer of Dirty Living, absolutely an incredible comic, which you can get on fugitivepoems.com right now, issue 1 in print. I got to hang with Stephen at Terrificon this weekend. It was great. So the question I'm going to ask all of you right now is this. All of you, I know, write in different forms. I do as well. I do screenplays. I do short fiction. I do novels. I do comics. I write very intense pornography. And
I've read it. It's wonderful. Very poetic.
Fugitive porn.
Fugitive poem
how do
porn.
you know what something is? And Elijah, I'm going to start with you here. When you get an idea, are you instantly like, this is a screenplay, this is a short story, this is pornography? How do you know instantly, or do you know instantly, or do you have to fuck around with it in different mediums?
Yeah, I think I am so talented I can turn any idea into any medium. But I
Fair.
think no, I think I look at it and I try to look at it from all angles and what is the best way what is the best format to produce this thing. And also, I mean, to be honest, it's a bit of like what's the easiest. I kind of gravitate towards the comic form just because it's like the closest to film without having to go outside. So I really like I really like that. But yeah, I just try to respect the medium of whatever I'm writing towards. Like if it's a story that really needs to go deep inside the head of the character, of course that's more for prose or very, very, very long and obnoxious comic book. But yeah, I think it's whatever, it just kind of whatever's the best way. If it's needs to be visual, if it's more of like a movie, then probably comic books or short film.
Rufus, what about you?
I've always found it intuitive. Like, I just know when I've got something. I go, yeah, that's a comic book, or that's prose, or that's a movie. I've never actually had to think about why I know that. I can instantly discount the prose because I tend to use prose when I don't have a very perfectly clear image in my head of where things are. That's where I'll allow more wiggle room for the audience. If I know it's in a more verbose fashion, and I'm willing to let you imagine where it is. I tend to start with locations in general. I'll walk into a room, and I'll just see things happening there, and then I've got a scene, and then I need to find a story for that scene. Whereas prose is completely different. It usually starts with a feeling or an emotion. I think I need to somehow convey this to somebody else. I guess between screenplay and comic books, it's length and money. You know, I'd never be able to pitch Dido to a film studio in a million years. But also, it needs 22 pages an issue. It couldn't be longer than that, or I'd be scrapping. And then sometimes you think, no, this is an intense 90-minute experience, one and done. I can't really tell you how I get there. I just kind of know it. I've only had one exception, and that was easily the most insane and unpitchable thing I've ever written. I wrote it in its entirety, 4 issues. It's just sitting around because I know nobody will ever touch this. I don't even know how to describe it. And now I'm starting to think it could work better as a film, which is hilarious because if it's not going to get pitched as a comic, it ain't going anywhere near a screen.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because Length and Money is actually the name of the porno I wrote. So Stephen,
he's really good at short film.
And you have a drum set behind you. Go do it.
Yeah,
don't mind
I should have.
That's right. Stephen, what about you? How do you know what something is when it comes into your head?
Hey, you know, I don't know. I think that it's part of just following what feels right. And sometimes it goes somewhere and sometimes it doesn't, but most of the times it does. And I just follow that path. I just keep writing and just keep going down that road. And I don't know half the time, you know, where I'm going with something, but I just know that, hey, I had this concept, I have the idea, and I'm going with it, and then I land on some sort of crazy shit, and then yeah.
That, you know, so when I write something, because I tried outlining a novel once and the novel died. Outlining it killed all the creativity. I couldn't write it. So what I do now is I just start writing. And my thing that I tell myself is if it's writing, it's good. If it's not writing, if I'm struggling and I don't know where to go, I abandon it. Maybe I come back to it later. Maybe I fuck around with it and make it something new. But if it's working, it's working. But I do generally know what it is. Except, and Casey, that is because of you and the Comic Jam. Folks, the comicjam.medium.com. Every week, amazing one-page comics from some of the greatest indie creators around. There's a different theme every week. And one week, the theme for the writers was mermaids. It was Mermaid, actually. And I'm like, what am I don't give a shit about mermaids. What am I going to do with this? And then I looked down and I had written 4 pages of a 1-pager. So I said, well, this is something. So ended up writing 50 pages of a noir detective story with mermaids. And as I'm writing it, it's going and then it stopped. But something in me said, no, that the problem isn't the story, it's the format. And it ended up becoming the 5th novel I've written. It was meant to be prose. It was meant to be a novel. And man, the minute I switched over to prose, it just opened up. And I've had the opposite happen with something becoming a comic. It's like, this should be a comic. Jay,
Yeah.
You've done all kinds of adventure and sci-fi and some amazing noir with Mario Candelera and on your own. Do you have a favorite area to write in and create in, or a favorite concept or area to play with?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to kind of go to the seedier part of things. I really like noir. I like neo noir, setting these things in a more modern setting versus like 1930s, 1940s. Doing One True Love was a lot of fun. Getting to explore late 1960s Hollywood, and those are, I don't know, let's say like the kind of people that I gravitate towards in real life. I'm not a felon by any means, but
He's wearing a striped prison shirt.
Yeah. But yeah, that and horror. I think just in general, and the books that I tend to read usually have some aspect of like criminality or adventure to them. I'm a kind of or at least I used to be, not so much anymore, for the Lee Child, Jack Reacher books. I've read
Love
a
those.
lot of Michael Connolly, and now more recently, who was it I was getting into? Kills me. But I mean, like comics wise, like Brubaker Phillips, I think are like the Lennon McCartney of comics. I absolutely love everything they do. And I think Brubaker handles just that, how he handles the tapestry of characters like that is utterly brilliant. I wish I could do something like that.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. But it's funny you brought them up. I was about to say this. Folks, Jay, you got to tell people where to do this. Jay and Mario Candelera made an amazing book called One True Love. And it's not that they took their style, but it is the quality level and depth of Brubaker and Phillips. And I'm not saying that lightly. Jay's art is it's one of my favorite things that I've read in the last few years. It's fucking magnificent. Jay, where can they get that?
I have it in digital on my website right now, jschiek.com. There's a shop icon in the upper right corner there. I have a limited number of physical copies. Give me just a second. I'll be right back.
And he was never heard from again.
Yeah.
The Comic
His daughter's going to take over, thankfully.
The Comic Jam has some of the best indie writers, artists, letterers, and we have our own Stan Lee and Casey. He does a great job keeping it going. Absolutely. And he totally fucked Jack Kirby. Let's see. We've also got, mind you, the Comic Jam hates me so much I have to use an alter ego to do comics for them. I put up Jay Schiek's website in the chat. Jay, what you got?
Oh, I brought back a physical copy. This is the Sunrise variant cover. So I am going to have physical copies available if anybody wants one of those. And as long as supplies last. The way these were packaged was really cool. Mario is kind of a genius at that. He packaged the book in a plastic bag that had $100 bills printed all over it. And then he put that inside of a burlap bag. So when this arrived in the mail, it was like you were getting an actual loot sack. You open it up and it looks like it's full of cash. And then inside would be the book. And then he did a little zine called Uncut Gems that we were including with that too. So when I think it'll have to be a few weeks after I conclude my relocation to California. But once that's in place, I'll put these up on the site too.
Yeah, so folks, get over there and you want to get a copy. Now, speaking of things that are gettable, Elijah is very gettable.
More gettable? That's crazy.
No, he's just edible. He is just one of the easy pieces, man. No, Elijah has a new book out on Kickstarter. Let's get that puppy on the screen. And so I was asking about favorite genres to work in, and this kind of you keep coming back to this kind of story. Tell us what it is and why your heart seems to be there.
So this is called Wand for Hire. I'm trying to decide between the. I know it's like coming out soon, but I'm trying to decide Dungeon Crawler Tara to like riff off the Dungeon Crawl, but it's like nothing to similar, or like Enter the Dungeon. So that's out there for vote in the chat. But it is
Enter the dungeon. Enter the
into
dungeon.
the dungeon. It is about a freelancing witch, and her name's Tara. She has a sarcastic black cat who may or may not be a self-insert. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true. It's based on my time as a freelancer in Los Angeles, having to deal with like ridiculous oddball clients, kind of like Kiki's Delivery Service meets Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the sense of humor. And it started off as like a web, like a slice of life fantasy webcomic, and I decided that I really am craving like some narrative storytelling. So I decided to say, let's burn some money, baby, and work on the full series. It's going to be one volume. Each volume is its separate story. I'm going to try to do like 4 or 5, fingers crossed, if this one goes somewhat well. This specific job is about her. She's kind of like a person who thinks or acts before she thinks. I wish she thought before she acted. And she accepts a super sketchy job and ends up in a dungeon, which is really like an Egyptian temple, speaking of mythology. And she has to escape the dungeon that puts her through a bunch of trials. That is the long and short of it. Super exciting. As to why I come back, what do you mean as what do you
a lot
do
of
you think
sword
I
and
come back
sorcery,
to?
fantasy, and magic.
Fantasy. Well, I think it's because I love magic. I think I was a magician professionally for a long time, and I think playing in the world of magic is probably the coolest thing. I think it's vastly undertapped in a lot of world building ways. Like, how would magic really interact with the world if it existed? For example, like this story is kind of, about a freelancing. She's like a task rabbit for the magic world, essentially, handyman. Solving problems, magical problems. And I think it's kind of like a gun, Matt, in this world. Magic, thank you, she is cute. Magic is kind of like a gun, right? Anybody can do it. Anybody can wield it, or just any other trade. But there's people who wouldn't want to do it, or who just like dedicate their whole life to it. And I think that's the coolest thing about magic as well. Being a magician is a lot of people are like, whoa, did you sign a soul, sign your soul away? When I did magic for them, I was like, no, I just practiced a long and hard time alone in a dark room. You can do it too. So
Sabina said, it's based on my time as a cat, is what you wanted to say.
This is true. Yeah. A lot of crawling around on all fours in Los Angeles. Don't click that.
I've been there. I've seen it.
He was one of my customers.
$20 is $20, right?
Yeah.
Or it was like an ADHD thing. The magic phase. I know I had a pretty significant one also.
It's crazy. It was a generation. It was like 10 years. I mean, I was literally a professional. I was like doing tours and all that good stuff. But also, yes, every awkward child does the magics.
Yeah. As far as I ever got, I used to do some table hopping. My aunt and uncle owned a restaurant in Northern California, and I'd go in on Tuesday nights and do sponge balls and a few card tricks. This
guy, he's a real magician. Nobody knows what they're actually called.
Yeah. I still enjoy it, but yeah, just my nieces and nephews always try to drag tricks out of me when we go to visit.
That's right. Sponge balls is what they called me in the Army. Wait, no. Let me ask this to all of you. Every one of you I know has the great Iron Maiden song, Can I Play with Madness? You've all played with horror. either you're doing it now or you've delved. And myself, what is the appeal for you of horror, of that darkness, of that? Why? Rufus, you want to jump on that?
Big question. Big question.
Yeah.
It happens without trying. I mean, I rarely try and adhere to any sort of genre. I
Same.
usually go for tone and atmosphere, and if I was to make an attempt to write a genre, it would feel disingenuous. The horror just sort of manifests itself. And really, I guess once you go in my head, there's a lot of teeth, there's a lot of black, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of the things that you typically find in horror, and I don't have to write for very long until it all comes out. I remember actually when we were working on Dido, there was a panel that we all loved that Rob Toll did, where our detective is investigating the missing woman, and he wanders into a scenario where he's attacked by something typically horror-esque, without spoiling anything. And the face that Rob drew, we called it the face that says, "What genre am I in?" Do you remember that one, Christian?
Yes.
It's not a horror book, but the horror just happens. Yeah, I was always a scary kid. My mother always said I was a scary kid, and it followed me around.
Sorry. Every day as she took me dropped me off at a high school, you're a fucking scary kid, Rufus. You know that?
I remember, like, my brother used to get a lot of shit from a lot of our relatives. And one day when I was older, I asked my mother, how come that never happened to me? Like, I feel like I got off real light. And she said, man, like, adults were just scared of you. You were weird. Like, you never said anything. You'd hang around, you'd walk into rooms and just stare at people. And nobody wanted to, like, actually interact with you. You'd freak people out a bit. And that kind of followed me through school, and it still follows me now. What was the point? I forgot.
No, I think you hit it. Claudio said Elijah practiced magic alone in a dark room. So does every guy at some point, usually with a magazine and a magic wand.
Thank you for finishing my innuendo. I rarely finish myself. What?
Stephen Schiek, Casey, and hello, Rufus. He said hi to Elijah already. Rufus's superpower, right on. He's naturally scary, Tom says.
Well, Tom finds me scary because of the amount of words I put on a single page.
Tom is lettering Dido, and boy, does Rufus give you a run for your money.
Oh, goodness.
Can I jump on this question for horror?
Go for
Actually,
it.
I have people ask me this a lot because I do love to write horror. I don't actually publish a lot of horror, but I want to. And I think it's the same reason I love like comedy and even magic. It's all about the setup and then the reveal, and in between that, the tension. How long can you stretch out that tension from like a setup to something to the punchline, whether that's a joke or a jump scare or like that horrific moment. I love the foreplay, the build up until you get to the climax of the thing, and it's really cool to be able to play with that. And I think I just love genuinely just like being able to emit an emotional response. And I think like that is the whole point of writing, is no matter what it is, hopefully a positive experience versus a negative one. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's a catharsis to it. Stephen, you started out with a mob story.
Yeah.
And went deep fucking horror. Why did that happen?
Well, because when I write any story, for me it's the unknown, right? So I am just entering, like I open a door, what's inside, and then I explore as I go. I am myself don't know what's happening, and for me it's exciting because I am excited to find out what kind of shit my crazy brain is going to create. and for me, like I want to develop something that's going to maybe scare me, scare other people, and but also be interesting. And when I was writing the Roma story, it was like it's like chiseling away at marble and trying to find something. And writing Dirty Living, that's what it was like. I'm like, okay, I got the story and it's going, and the next thing you know, I got this super natural stuff going on with it, and I don't know what's happening, but it's great while it's happening, and so I want to uncover what it is, and I'm excited to find out what I'm gonna get, and if that makes any friggin' sense. But
It does.
I really like to really explore and see what can develop out of nothing, and most of the times it develops into something that's interesting. Like I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and like he always said when he was writing, he goes, I want to scare myself. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. I want to scare myself. I want to come up with something that scares me, and I deal with it head on. Like I'm dealing with my biggest fears. And if it's a dog getting chopped up in the blender, maybe that's it. I don't know.
Guys, issue 6.5 of Dirty Living. You want to read that story? Dirty Living, available, issue 1 in print, available at fugitivepoems.com. Very shortly going to be at Filbo Distribution. You can ask for it in your comic shop. Steven writes some fucked up shit, and it's beautiful, and we're proud to produce it. Casey,
Thanks, man.
you are, I don't know, and you can correct me. Tom Lynott said the dog probably deserved it. Shit on the carpet.
Bad dog.
Casey, your writing, I find that everything I've read is not necessarily horror, but horror adjacent. What's your connection with horror, and how do you like to play with it?
So the thing that I get the most enjoyment out of, like whether it's horror or sci-fi or just like a punch 'em up or whatever, is the twist. Like doing something that's unexpected, and horror is really good at that. That's what it's jump scares to me are dumb, but the twist where something goes from being normal to chaos,
Yeah,
that's appealing to me, and I get a kick out of being able to do that in my work. Hopefully it shows, and so that's what I get out of horror. I don't know that I'm necessarily like a scary guy writer or whatever, but it's I don't think I've ever really challenged myself that much in that area. I mean, I wrote a book with zombies in it, but the scary part wasn't the zombies. All the zombies were ephemeral to the other shit that was going on. I mean, you're in the middle of a fucking war zone. That shit's scary. Like
right.
real consequences, real stakes. And then you have this, fantastical thing happening in the background. That's fun to me. Or maybe not fun, but appealing to me. So that's what I get out of horror. Now I do love horror as a genre. I listen to a lot of horror podcasts. I read, Stephen King and whatever other horror shit I can find. I like weird fiction mostly. I finished a book not long ago called Library at Mount Char, and it seriously blew my mind. It was fantastic, and it's one of those books that I didn't know what I was reading until like 3/4 of the way through. And I really had to, this is a short book. Let's just get this through. And then by the time I got to where I figured out where it was going, or had an idea of what was happening, I was like, what the fuck? So, like, that stuff is what's appealing to me.
Well, I've just added it to my wish list on Amazon.
I don't want to give anything away, but like there's horror in there, and it's horrific things that people do to people, real people do to real people.
Yeah.
That's what's scary, and that's the stuff that freaks me out. A guy with knives on his hands, like, get fucked, dude. I want to like, that doesn't scare me. We have a rule at my house where my wife she's like, no exorcism movies, no alien movies, because that shit could happen.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm of the mind, like, no, that, like, that's not scary to me. Like, the scary stuff is like the people that are cruel. That's scary.
Yeah, reality.
So,
I think you said it best as far as like the twist, like Saw, like the first Saw movie.
yeah.
That is horror. That is scary because you don't see that shit coming, and that's the best part about horror for me. It's Hitchcock, man. Hitchcock just he didn't need to show you gore. He didn't need to show you knives and chainsaws. He got you with stuff you don't see, and that's what freaks you out. You know,
The
like
tension.
Yeah.
the tension, like that scene in Misery when what's his name's laying in bed and she's got
The hobbling.
she's got the yeah and like and you don't see it but you know it and you're like that freaks me out, you know,
Yes, it turns my
just
stomach just thinking about it.
you know
100 times worse in the movie than it was in the book, even.
Yes.
yeah I mean even there was a scene The Walking Dead when geez, what was the guy's name, Bob, and he was getting his leg cut off or something. Because
Dale, yeah.
no, Dale, I think it was Bob, but the black guy, they had
the show.
yeah, and they had to take his, but you don't see it,
Right.
but you feel it and you see it, and you know, and that's what freaks you out because you're like, holy shit, this is like you don't see it, but you can feel it, man. That's the scary shit.
Yeah.
Evan says, Casey, you'll need to get Bigfoot Knows Karate to the Pacific Northwest because Bigfoot is huge here. He lives in Oregon, and actually, Evan and I have been talking about this on our own, talking about your comic. Bigfoot is everywhere there, so it would be huge. Evan also says, Christian writes some seriously effed up horror for real homies. Gack. Jay, you write and draw horror. Hush Ronin isn't horror, but there are monsters and horrifying aspects to it, frightening stuff. Two questions. Why do you gravitate there, and how do you make that work with art? How do you make it terrifying visually?
I think I struggle with the terrifying visuals. I tend to, like, anytime I draw like a monster or a demon or something, it's always a little too conservative for what's in my head versus what actually comes out on the page. I read an essay recently. I'm trying to remember who wrote it, but they were talking about the horror genre as a form of escapism, and like that kind of resonated with me because I'm like, wait a minute. I guess it is because I mean, if it's a sense of contrast, because there was a time where that was all I read. I was a huge Stephen King fan. I'm not saying I'm not still. I just haven't read him in a while. But getting into even like the heavier underground stuff like Jack Ketchum, Bentley Little, Edward Lee, and a lot of the like the splatterpunk stuff that they would do. And because I was living in that bubble, that was a lot of what I was writing, and it's still, I think, just kind of part of my DNA, creatively anyway.
And so you utilize it, and sort of Casey's talking about it this way too, and even Elijah, where it's not about writing horror, but it's about having horror elements. And I think that does tie in with what Casey's saying about real life. Did we lose Stephen? We did lose Stephen.
I think so.
So let me, pardon me, let me ask you guys this. Thank you so much for being a part of this and talking about your process. So important part of the process. They say that Don King had to make sure Mike Tyson had a lady to fuck before every show fight, because if he didn't, he would kill someone in the ring. He had to get out some of the energy. So I'm sure that you guys all have this same situation going on. What is your absolute need for when you're writing?
I'm not a fucking loser, so I just take all of the angst that I have and put it into my writing. I don't need I use all of it. I don't need to have sex. It's not because I can't get sex. I get a lot of sex. My girlfriend goes to another college, but like don't worry about it.
That's it.
In Canada, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's actually from Ukraine. But like no, I genuinely feel that I don't know. I think I just like to put it out all over the page, on the page. I'm trying not to make sexual innuendos, but it just
You are failing completely.
I feel like Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's fucking awful. But yeah, just throw it into the story. I feel like it's a form of therapy, and it's kind of cool. I get people to buy, hopefully, my therapy sessions.
What about you, Rufus? Do you have any kind of ritual, routine, weird need that needs to be fulfilled in order to get a proper writing session?
I have all sorts of routines and methods, but none of them are a necessity. That's just to get things moving along. I know how I work. The only thing I need is pain. I find the more distressed I am, the more upset I am, the more stressed I am, the better ideas I have. And when life's going good, I kind of plateau out. I find I don't come up with as much new stuff. I need to, sometimes I will purposefully go out of my way to put myself in stressful scenarios if I know I have to write something this week.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Can't be good for your health.
Yeah, that sounds like something that needs to be replaced with another habit. Go the Mike Tyson route.
Get ADHD, you'll do it by accident all the time.
But no, that's really it. The worse life is, the better the writing is. It sounds cartoonish as an inverse, but I have found it to be true thus far.
Well, now when your writing gets bad, I'm going to start being happy that you're having a good time. Like, wow, this issue sucks. Boy, I'm glad he's happy. Casey, what about you? Rituals, needs? What's your deal?
Man, I don't. I'm not as regimented a writer as I probably need to be. So I don't have any rituals. I do it when the kids go to bed. I have 2 kids. They're amazing. And like one thing of being a writer, it has on that journey has been learning, how to balance. So if I can, if I can get the kids to bed and know that my wife is not pissed at me, and I'll get everything quiet, and the dogs have gone outside to take a dump and all that good stuff. Then I will reward myself. I'll write for a few minutes, and try to get it all out. Occasionally, I will walk my dog and I'll get ideas. I have trails out behind my house, and we'll walk, for about an hour, and I'll come up with some banger ideas, and type down what I can, and then just go from there later on. But yeah, usually it's just everybody's taken care of, everything's seen to. Now I have some time for myself. I'm gonna write. Um, back in the day, there used to be the NASA live space station feed, and it would show like a video of the Earth as the as the ISS goes around, does its thing, and I would put that on. I'd turn all the lights off, and just kind of like listen to usually like some doom metal or something like that. Big fan of Sleep and Sun, bands like that, and just kind of just let it happen. I don't like to have a lot of background noise with like words in it, but if I can get a mood going, then that will not necessarily help, but it'll fill the void a little bit.
I can't write with music on except there's a doom metal band. They're actually post metal doom, whatever all that means, called Sumac. And I have no idea what the lead singer's saying. I treat his voice like a didgeridoo, like it's part of the instrumentality. I fucking love Sumac, and I wrote the first arc of a series that is going to be forthcoming to that, and it absolutely informed it. Jay, what about you? Come on, you're our last chance for some funky ass.
I think I've got the most boring
ritual.
answer. I'm going to borrow one from TC Boyle. He said this in an interview once, that his thing is to get a roasting pan full of hot chicken blood and put it on the floor and then rest his feet in it while he writes, and he writes until the blood goes cold.
Love it.
But yeah, coffee is a big part of it. The other one for me is filling a fountain pen. So I know I've got plenty of mileage before I get going on the page, because I like to handwrite my first drafts at least.
Aha. All right. Well, all right. So I was hoping somebody would have a freaky answer. But let's see.
Oh, wait, I have one. I have a freaky. I watch Fugitive Poems. The art is not dead. Fuck. What is this show called? God damn it! I fucked up. The art will not be changing. Cut my dick off. I'm so sorry, Christian. I really tried. Don't forget to ring the bell. Christian sprouts wings, burns into fire. I'm so sorry.
Occasionally, I'll go out and steal a car and hit a pedestrian, but
please let the pedestrian be me. Okay.
Well, I am moving to California.
Oh, perfect. So then there's a chance.
Yeah.
If you hit Rufus, don't kill him. Just maim him real bad. He'll do his best writing ever.
Not hard to do driving in the UK.
Casey, what you got?
Does anyone else here do like I do and just do the majority of their writing on their phone? Like I have written at least 4 to maybe 6 comics with my thumbs, and
wow,
text to speech while I walk my dog and let him take a big steaming dump in the woods. Like that's
what I call my writing.
No, what do you use to write? Is it just like the notes section?
No. I'm a basic bitch, man. I just do what is it?
Twitter.
You text
Google,
yourself.
Google
Docs.
Not Google Sheets, but Docs. Yeah. Google Sheets.
Yeah.
I do everything in a spreadsheet. It's a very complicated system. But most of the only time I really get my computer out is when we're going over the finished art and matching dialogue to the page, and kind of tightening everything up, because a lot of the time I'll go through, like, the fun part for me once everything is written is going over those pages after everything is done and going, okay, I can cut this shit. I don't need this. He's doing that in the panel. This fucking rules. This looks really good. He did awesome. I don't know what he was thinking about there. That kind of veered off, so I'm gonna have to match that up. And there's an art in that also, man. And it rules. It's so good. The collaborative part of making comics is what makes me happy.
Yes.
Because, like, honestly, you guys were talking about writing different genres, different, prose, comics, screenplays, whatever. I mostly do comics. The reason I got into comics is because I used to play music. My wife and I had 2 kids, and anytime they would hear me play guitar, probably rightfully so, they were like, "Yeah, no, stop." So playing in a band and just had to stop, and I was like, I need an outlet. I need to find something, and that's where I found the Comic Jam, which is where I found Christian.
Lying in a gutter.
I was gonna say nailed to a cross, but completely naked, dick hanging out.
But nobody noticed.
What is that acorn doing up there?
Is that like the leaf they cover up the genitals with? They used an acorn.
No, but Casey,
we've
I
got-
just want to add in. Sorry, I know you're trying to end the show, Christian, but Casey
Desperately.
is talking and bringing up
Sorry.
some good points. No, don't be. It's the best conversation. Christian, let Casey run it next time. No, but I totally I totally feel. No, I was gonna say I totally feel like putting something on a page, and when the art is there, you just kind of have to throw some shit away. You're like, oh, I'm over articulating things that are completely obvious already, and it's been a really fun experiment, and I highly recommend it for any writer. So I'm reformatting one of my first stories that I ever published because it sucked real bad, and I'm like writing based on the reformatting of it and getting like a second stab at the story, and it's been such a fun and creative writing exercise to put words to pictures as we do.
Sabina said that she writes poems on Google Keep, which I actually don't know what that is.
I've never heard of
that
it.
Claudia said, great. Casey gets inspiration watching his dog take a dump.
It's true.
And Evan said, who doesn't? I watch my dog pinch them all every single day. Claudia summed up everything saying writers are crazy nut jobs. Congrats, guys.
Hell yeah.
And I thank you guys so much for sharing all this. This was fun. We've been showcasing people every week, and I wanted to get a sort of a group dynamic going to how people do things, what works, what doesn't work. As a writer, I'm always curious, and as a consumer of art, I'm always curious. And I'm being hounded in the chat. And I already did it, but I'll say it again because why not show up?
Further, Christian, I just want to make one quick point about the actual format things are written. And this isn't my point, it's Frank Miller's, so it's okay to interject. Christian, as you know, I saw Frank Miller at his event a few weeks ago. And he mentioned a very interesting thing I'd never considered. Because so long as I've been alive, I've been writing on a computer. And he said he felt his writing changed dramatically when everything shifted from typewriters to computers because of the editing process. He said he found he was going back and editing as he wrote and keeping it all up to a professional standard as he went. And this was more of a hindrance than anything else. Because you get into a mindset that everything is a little fix. Anything you do wrong, you can go back and then you can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
With a typewriter, you type the whole page, you had a look, and you go, well, that's shit, I have to do the whole thing again. And it encourages you to use the hammer when you need to use the hammer.
Yeah.
With the word processor, you always use a scalpel, even when you need a hammer.
Aha.
So I always write my first draft by hand for that.
Yep.
Very much that reason.
I try to write only the first draft. Like, I try not to look back. I think
Oh,
Sweet.
Shit. Dang,
That
I'm
is
jealous
beautiful.
as hell. What the
So from
fuck?
now on, Dido will be written entirely on this Remington.
and only wearing that hat.
I do everything in cuneiform. Everybody in the coffee shop looking at me like they know I'm like the top dog. Cuneiform. My level losers.
The both of hated writing so much, and the guy wrote some of the greatest novels ever written. He hated writing so much, he was so afraid of starting. He had a petrifying fear of blank page. So he wrote everything on index cards to convince himself he wasn't going to write much today. Fucking, I'm just going to fill up an index card because I don't want to do it today. And he would write. The handwriting would get smaller and smaller and smaller as he was inspired. So he'd keep trying to fit it on the card, and eventually he'd flip over the card. And then he would literally lay out, when he was done with the novel, he would go into a huge fucking room and lay out all the index cards, look at them, and start moving them around This would be better here. This would be better here. And once he had done that, then he would type up the first draft.
Wow.
And that is an insane process, but it seems to have worked with him. Damn, you guys still yakking? I just got back from eating dinner. Well, why didn't you bring us any, Tom? What do you expect? We write things. We love hearing ourselves talk. Folks, this has been an hour and 20 minutes of Elijah. What's the name of the show?
Suck a dick, bitch. I believe that's the proper title.
The DMX show.
The art will not
Tune
be
in next
changing.
week for more dick sucking.
The long and the short
hope
as
of every male artist ever, the art will get my dick sucked.
Lincoln money.
the art will not be
Jay-
changing. I didn't
the art
Google
will
it.
not be changing. Jay Schiek, one of my favorite people, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having you on the show. And you being on the show. My
Thanks for
sister
having
said
me.
you guys are morons. And
Amen.
pendulous balls. Amen. Elijah Joseph, always such a spark to the show. You guys will be seeing Elijah more. He's basically becoming my unofficial sidekick. He's going to get paid half of what I get paid to do this.
0 times 0 is fucking 0.
Casey Allen, my friend, I love you and I thank you for being on. And Rufus
Thank you for
Black,
having me.
killer writer and a great dude. You are my favorite person in all of England.
And he only knows 3 people, by the way. So it's
yes,
pretty
yes,
impressive.
3.
I mean, now that the queen's dead and everything, so
The queen is a total second to Rufus. And Stephen Beccia, who had to depart. Love you, dude. Thank you for doing this great work. Rufus and Stephen putting some great stuff together for Fugitive Poems. Hope to have you guys do more for Fugitive Poems in the future as well. This was a show I was hoping it would be. Thank you so very much. Folks, we are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.